should I have like a 1-0 ready?
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Media Path. I'm Fritz Coleman.
And I'm Louise Palanker.
You know, here in the Media Path podcast, our job is to sort through all of the recent releases in all media, hopefully finding things that are worthy of your attention. Books, movies, streaming, cable broadcast, whatever. Think of us as your personal shoppers in the media big box store. We've got some great suggestions for you today, and we are so happy to have a guy who is truly one of the most loved and appreciated people in the entertainment business. He's an actor who's been in some of the funniest movies ever made. He's been an environmentalist since before the climate began to change. He did a movie about the electric car when Elon Musk was still in high school. He's an environmental entrepreneur with some great eco-conscious products to tell us all about. Ed Begley Jr. is going to be here in just a minute. Really looking forward to talking to my friend Ed. But Weezy, what do you have for us?
All right, so Fritz, in order to travel down a media path, you need a pathway. For many boomers, that pathway involves a major thoroughfare called either cable or satellite. We like our channels. We grew up on channels. We want channels. Sure, we've got Netflix, Prime, Hulu, off-ramps, but we steer our DVR remote right back onto the cable highway and the familiar twists and turns of our channels. I was not at all ready to cut any cords, Fritz and Ed. I was going to my grave clutching my TiVo remote, but the evil empire of Spectrum Cable was playing not at all well with TiVo, which they began calling a third-party DVR once they had successfully stolen his secrets and begun cramming their own inferior DVRs into their spotty and bloated packages. The night before I went in for back surgery, I was down to 0 channels. Nerve pain is debilitating, but no MSNBC. I'm on the verge of tears telling the story. Spectrum's game is one we'll call hold and transfer. They keep you on hold for hours and then they transfer you. This goes on for days. It's like the car salesman who goes to speak to his manager. He's playing Tetris in his cubicle until you start to twitch. Or the detective who disappears while you panic. This has only happened to Fritz once, and his alibi was solid. Okay, so one day out of surgery, Spectrum Representative 17 tells me my TiVo will eventually be completely unsupported. So by eventually, you mean yesterday when I stopped getting any channels? She has me order an Apple TV, which will come with a Spectrum app on which I will receive my channels, allegedly. Okay, it's time to learn and change. I will get the hang of it. I never got the hang of it. You can not pause, you can't fast forward, you can't record shows with this app. That plus during another day of hold and transfer, my monthly bill had reached over $300 while MSNBC and CNN were deleted from my lineup and replaced with Spanish language channels. I was ready to jump myself out of the Spectrum cult, and I was able to do this with the aid of the life draft. That is, grab a pencil, pull over, write this down, YouTube TV. My monthly bill is $96. You get a bunch of great channels, including your major networks and news networks. You can add packages to suit. I selected HBO Max and Showtime and Stars. You can select live sports or additional streaming services. Whatever you are into, you can pause, rewind, record. Whatever you are used to doing with cable, it works on Apple TV, Roku, Fire Stick, etc. However you are receiving your streaming services. So if you are thinking about cutting the cord, take a look at YouTube TV, and you are welcome.
I just got the Apple TV.
Okay.
And it's the thing where you have they put the box in the back of the TV. And then when you turn the TV on, there are 50 or 60 different boxes, and you have to click on Spectrum. And it takes 30 seconds for the Spectrum thing to load in there. And that's my complaint. There's no way to record anything. How do you record stuff?
You quit Spectrum. And you're going to need someone to help you jump out, because when you try to quit them, they put you on hold. It would be like if you walked up to the checkout line with your items and you said, I actually don't need bananas. And they were like, you are not allowed to re-enter the store. You will buy these bananas or die trying not to.
Wow.
Yeah. It's
good for you.
Spectrum,
well, a lot of people are doing that. Young people don't have cable. You know, people under 50.
That's why we're having this conversation, because people our age are stuck. We're familiar with our channels and we don't know what else to do, but it's become kind of unwieldy to figure out, what do you do, Ed?
I have a millennial. I've got a 21-year-old. I guess that's a millennial. And so she handles all that. If I can't figure it, but I still have my old 2008 TV that's, it's a very just kind of a normal settings. It's AT&T, so I record everything.
See?
I've got my Roku, so that's how I'm doing it. Have that thing that you probably don't need with an Apple
No,
TV.
you can get a stick.
No, it's the same.
I did that. It's like a Fire Stick, right?
Right.
Yeah, but
Now,
you
does
can,
that record stuff? The Roku records
I can
stuff?
record. I can do everything. I've got
Wow.
all of that. But I have AT&T. What is that? That's also called something else. AT&T, and it's not Spectrum. What is it?
Fiber?
I think it might be.
Wow.
See, the thing is, with boomers, like, we kind of know what we're doing. We don't know why we're doing it or how to not do it.
Oh, it's DirecTV. That's what it is. The DirecTV AT&T combo.
We
body-
learned a thing, and like if I press this, something will print, but we wouldn't know how to.
If I have a problem, I call my daughter who's away at college to
And
help.
she'll help you.
And
She'll walk you-
she'll help me and she'll solve the problem with a phone or something, and she does it
I'm pretty good with most stuff. I started computing in 1984. I bought my first computer and didn't do it just for games. I played a few games, but I did it for financial stuff, and I did it for word processing, and I was pretty serious about it. So I'm pretty good with most stuff, but some stuff I just can't figure, and I get my daughter on it.
No, that's exactly.
That's
correct.
why we've had
That's
children.
why we had
Exactly.
kids.
All right,
Okay,
Fritz, what have you got?
I got a good pick here. I alone can fix it. Donald J. Trump's catastrophic final year. This is a fantastic book written by Phil Rucker and Carol Leonnig, who are both with the Washington Post. If you were fascinated and disturbed by their last book called A Very Stable Genius, this is going to grab you by the esophagus the same way. What's fascinating about it is Rucker and Leonnig were scorched earth about the former president in their last book, yet Trump sat down with them to do 2-hour-plus interviews for the book. Seems like a masochistic exercise. He didn't care what
I
they
swear
said.
to God, Fritz, if we showed up there and said, "Would you talk to us?" He would.
Seriously. I Alone Can Fix It walks you through the last year of the Trump administration, the missteps with the pandemic, the revolving door of sycophants and lawyers, the unending chaos, which Rucker and Leonnig seem to think is what President Trump really secretly thrives on, the chaos. He loves chaos regardless of how destructive it is. The best in the book comes first, I think. It's a detailed description of how COVID was born in Wuhan, China. They identify patient 1 and patient 2 in the United States. It's really fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
Patient 1's in Chicago, patient 2 is in Washington State. And the book is really just a detailed recap of a time in our lives that might not need recapping because we just lived through the horror of it. But with the excellent journalism of Phil Rucker and Carol Leonnig, you'll find yourself saying to yourself, I'm not nuts. This really happened. Here's why and how. A really good book.
I'm buying it. I wrote it down so I didn't forget, and I'm going to get it. So
It's
thank you.
really good.
I've seen it promoted on MSNBC a bit. I'm going to get it.
And what you will think of when you complete this book is, how is it possible that not only Trump himself and his immediate family, but his immediate circle of friends committed so much malfeasance, particularly in that last year, covering him up, that nobody's been prosecuted. The only people that were prosecuted were people that happened at the beginning, what's his name, that got pardoned. And
right.
But all of the broken laws, and nobody has honestly paid a price for it yet. It's astounding and depressing. But
he vetted, you know how most people are vetted to work in administration? He vetted for corruption.
That's
he
right.
wanted only corrupt people who had secrets so that they wouldn't rat anybody.
Well,
right.
Good book. I recommend it.
Yeah.
That's the way mafia dons
That's
work,
exactly
I'm told.
right,
Yes,
Ed.
exactly
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
All right, so my next pick is a guilty pleasure, and but I actually feel no guilt. I just feel the pleasure. This is Big Brother. I watch it every summer. Big Brother is a reality show in which 16 contestants move into a house/soundstage, probably parking lot, isolated from the world and tracked by 94 cameras and 194 microphones. They spend their summer engaged in a psychological battle where your only companions are your competitors. I find it absolutely fascinating. It's a game of skill, strategy, and social manipulation. The winner goes home with $750,000 and probably a lot more social media followers. Now, until this summer, they had been casting what I will call Caucasian hotties and alpha dudes and bikini girls. There would be your diversity tokens, but alliances would form early and implicit biases would kick in. In 2019, the first 4 contestants voted out were people of color. This season, the cast is diverse, and almost immediately, And this is what's so fascinating to me. The black contestants formed a secret alliance, which they are calling the Cookout. To cloak their strategy, the Cookout members are each working closely with a fellow house guest outside of their alliance. Now, you may say, oh my gosh, they have formed an alliance based on race. That's racist. And I would say, well, here's the thing. When a black person walks into a historically white environment and sees another black person, they see a friend. When a white person walks into a historically white environment and sees another white person, we see a stranger. The greater good here is that the Cookout wants to see a black person win Big Brother. Although the white alpha males were voted off early, which is kind of unprecedented in all of Big Brother history, no person of color has ever even been on the block yet for eviction until this week, and that contestant is clearly a pawn. He will not go home. Ratings are up. The gameplay is smart and strategic. The house guests are interesting and engaging. I am all about it. Big Brother airs 3 times a week on CBS or the streaming Paramount Plus app, where you can also watch live feeds from the house. You can literally watch Big Brother 24 hours a day, but I can't really recommend it. I think you should hydrate.
Do you think that the geniuses behind the reality TV set that racial dynamic up because
I'm
of
sure
the
they
tension
do.
of
I'd be
the-
shocked if
Yeah,
they did.
I think there was a statement from the head of CBS about diversity in casting on all of their reality shows because they were receiving a lot of complaints.
Wow.
And in fictional work, there's some great stuff being out there about race and privilege and lots of other deep, deep things. It's fiction, of course, but it's wonderful. I'm talking about White Lotus. Have you seen that show?
I haven't seen it,
boy.
but everybody's talking about it. And I
It's so
love Mike
good.
White. He's a great
And
writer.
Jennifer Coolidge knocks it out of the park, home run. Great. Everybody's great in it, but it's about deep and meaningful stuff. It's a comedy. It's a very, 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 very dark comedy, but it's wonderful. Mike White, who did
He's fantastic.
that show with Laura Dern, Enlightenment, has done it again. It's just, he's amazing. It's such great writing, great direction, visually great. And the cast is amazing, but it's about something. I really love the show.
My friends have all asked me about it. Now I got to get on the
You'll
bandwagon.
see it.
I'm
You're
about-
going to like it.
I'm about to dive in. I just needed to, my channels. And I'm ready to go.
You got to have your channels to watch it. I understand.
All right, here's another in the tsunami of post-Trump books. It's another good one. It's Michael Wolff's Landslide. This is the follow-up to his other blockbuster called Fire and Fury. The title Landslide is what Trump tried to convince us he had actually won the 2020 election by. And like the Phil Rucker Carol Leonnig book, this is the chaotic wake of the Trump administration's last year. It gives you more concrete evidence of what you already knew, that our country was being run by unqualified sycophants. It walks you through Trump's ill-fated election challenges, the surreal second impeachment trial, the immoral mishandling of the COVID crisis, some scary revelations about how Trump balked at calling off the violent mobs in the Capitol on January 6th, along with his discussions about actually proclaiming martial law. What you have in Landslide is a laundry list of the ways over the last year that the hubcaps nearly came off of democracy. Another good read.
Wow. And I would like to recommend Landslide by Stevie Nicks. It's a very good song.
Okay.
Yes, another good landslide in a slightly different format, but I agree.
All right, now to our amazing guest. I'm so happy to get a chance to talk to Ed. This man is an actor, an environmental activist. He's appeared in literally hundreds of films, TV shows, and stage shows. You need the Dewey Decimal System to get through his IMDb page. Here are just a few of my faves. Best in Show, a mighty win for your consideration, any of the Christopher Guest masterpieces. He's been on groundbreaking television, St. Elsewhere, Mary Hartman, Maude, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Better Call Saul, Arrested Development, The Simpsons, even My Three Sons. And we had some guests from that show on just a week or so ago.
Livingston Bros.
The Livingston Bros were here. One of his great accomplishments that he put up at one of my favorite venues, the El Portal Theater in North Hollywood, is that he wrote and directed Caesar and Ruben, a musical about Cesar Chavez. One of his most important works, I think, was Who Killed the Electric Car? This was back in 2006, which talked about all the things that kept the electric car from getting traction. These days, he's become an eco-entrepreneur. He spearheaded a line of environmentally sound products called Ed Begley's Earth Responsible Products. We're going to talk about them. You can find them on his website at begleyliving.com. That has his environmental musings and products and activities and the exploits of his gorgeous family, including his wife, Rachel, and their 3 children. Happy to see you, my friend.
So good to see you.
Thanks for coming over.
You're so present all the time for these wonderful causes we both care about, for the Orangutan Republic and other great organizations helping out animals, helping out the environment, many other worthy causes. Hats off to you, pal. Thank you for always being there.
I feel the same way about you. As a matter of fact, the first time I met you was about 40 years ago at an American Cancer Society benefit at the Equestrian Center, and you and I were the first two people there. And there was nothing going on. We were just waiting for them to set up the jumps and finish.
That's right. That's right. I remember that now. My God, that is many years ago.
That was a long time ago.
Well done, sir.
Let's go back to history. Yeah, your talent might be hereditary because you had a very talented actor father, Ed Begley Sr. Talk about your dad a little bit.
You know, he was a great actor and really a great dad, too. He was gone a lot at the time. I thought, my dad's never here. He was actually there a lot when he was not working off in some distant land or distant city. And when we were together, we were really together and had great times together, driving cross-country, taking the train cross-country. Because I was a young man back in the 50s, growing up in the 50s and early 60s. I was born in 1949. So back then, you did not fly across country unless you're the daughter and son of, Clark Gable or somebody. You would go. But people like my dad, kind of a working, stiff actor, we would take the train or drive. That's where he went cross-country, and it was spectacular. So I have it in my blood still. I like to take those trips cross-country. I've been working on some shows, driving to Albuquerque recently for a show, and I just love it. I love the open road. I love my dad. He was a great actor. He was in 12 Angry Men and Sweet Bird of Youth, won an Oscar for that. Man. I became an actor because of him. If he had been a plumber, I'd be fitting pipe now.
Your dad, according to Wikipedia, which is where I learned things, dropped out of school in 5th grade.
He did.
What kind of a kid? It's like 8 o'clock. Has anyone seen Ed? 8 o'clock of next week. Has anyone seen? Like, how do you disappear at age, 10?
Yeah, I don't know what he did, what caused him to leave like that. Part of it was the lure of being in a carnival or a circus, or, he won a Charlie Chaplin contest when he was quite young. That was part of the lure. But what drove him away? There must have been something very dangerous going on in his home or around his home for him to leave home at that age. I don't know what that's about. I haven't gotten to the bottom of it, but he did very well. Very erudite man. You would have thought he had a degree of some sort. He had not. He didn't, as you noted, he dropped out of 5th grade. But he read voraciously, and he always had a dictionary next to his chair. And if he didn't know a word, he looked it up. And very well spoken, very bright guy that you wouldn't know was well schooled.
Did he support you wanting to go into show business, and you went in when you were a child?
It was tricky for him because he didn't want to hand it to me. I've had a much older brother, Tom, that actually was my cousin. That's the source of a whole nother chapter we'll do. We'll spend a day on that talking down the line with my therapist here. But so I had a much older brother, let's call him, and Tom was in a nightclub, not a nightclub, a vaudeville act with my father, and he did a lot of that kind of stuff with my dad. At some point when he was a teenager, he went, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to be playing with my friends, and you made me go on stage. And so my dad said, I'll never do that again. So even though my sister and I wanted it and begged him to go on interviews, he kind of didn't forbid it. He just said, if you want to do it, you do it on your own. But then miraculously, Fritz, how did I go on about 5-6 different interviews from age 10 to age 17? I mean, I got it because I was Ed Begley's son. Somehow I got out on these interviews, but I got no work whatsoever. Why? I hadn't trained. I had no training. Imagine the son of a plumber saying, I'm going to go ride in the truck today and do a plumber's job. You got to learn how the pipes fit together.
And you were in a sitcom as a child. Were you on My Three Sons, right?
My first job, I got it when I was 17. As I said, I'd interviewed for other things, gone on different job interviews, never gotten anything with no training. Finally did some training, go in this job, get the job, do the job. I leave my makeup on because I've got a paper route I have to still satisfy at 3 p.m., the late paper, the Herald Examiner in L.A. I'm out delivering my papers. Seriously, Fritz, hoping somebody recognizes me and goes, oh, you've got makeup on. Are you an actor?
And hire you on the spot.
So you were so proud of it.
I was so proud of it. I was in my dad's business. I had gotten into Screen Actors Guild, and I literally thought the phone was going to ring off the hook and quickly. And I didn't get much work, so I kind of shifted gears. I became a camera assistant for a while, pulling focus, doing that job, and doing the slate and loading camera magazines back then with film cameras. And so I learned a lot about that, did that. But then, the acting work kind of beckoned again. It pulled me back in on this show called Room 222.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Great show.
Yeah.
And Gene Reynolds was a friend of my dad's and a child actor himself. And also James L. Brooks, I believe, was a writer on that show. So I wound up getting a job here and there on that show and got back into acting. And then it finally took off with St. Elsewhere.
And did he ever say to you, you are talented. I'm glad you're pursuing this. This is not a stretch for you. What I mean is, did he support you after you got a little of your own momentum?
He did. He came to Valley College where I studied, and he saw me in a few plays and had found something nice to say that I don't know where he found any reason to be nice about what I was doing on stage there. I failed miserably at Valley College, but that's how you learn. You don't learn from your successes or being cute or whatever you think you are, or all your little bag of tricks. You learn from failure, and I learned that quickly and started. But I didn't work. I worked more as a cameraman when he was still alive, Fritz. He died when I was 20. It was mostly camera work, but he'd drive me to the set sometimes to work as an assistant cameraman, grab a cup of coffee at the coffee here and there and say, "How's my boy doing? Is he doing okay?"
Oh.
And he was very proud.
What were some of the more interesting sets that you got to be on?
With my dad, I was on the set of Unsinkable Molly Brown. I was backstage at Advise and Consent. I was backstage at Look Homeward Angel. I was backstage, and he took me to a few plays on Broadway he was not in. Also, I got to see The Miracle Worker on Broadway with Anne Bancroft and Patty Duke. I got to see with Pete and Dud, Peter Moore and Dudley. Dudley Moore and Peter Cook, my God,
Right,
my brains.
right.
You know, they did Beyond the Fringe and then Behind the Fringe and all these plays. So I saw some Broadway stuff and really wanted to be an actor. But what little I did, he was very proud. But then he died when I was 20, not yet 21. And somehow after that, things began to pick up, and I could then call myself a working actor because I worked on all those Owen Marshall, Counselor at Law, Mannix, you know, Adam 12, all those shows we watched.
You were like your dad. You were a working actor.
Working
it
actor.
wasn't about being the lead. It was about doing the work, and you
Exactly.
just accumulated this swimming pool full of credits. which
Right,
is
and it
unbelievable.
seemed like a good gig. There was no big ups or downs, just kind of steady work his whole life from when he really became successful as an actor, which was in his 40s. Before that, he was a factory worker at the wire mold plant in Hartford, Connecticut. He was born and raised in Hartford, so he was really a factory worker that made it in his mid-40s. He did some theater in New York. He was directed by Kazan in directed by Elie Kazan in All My Sons on Broadway and many other wonderful plays. And then he was a big hit in radio, too, in New York, Fibber McGee and all those shows, and Aldrich Family and Mike Diamond, Private Detective, working actor. And then he began to work in Hollywood and different movies. And so I went, I want to do that. I want to do what he did. And I had the good fortune to do
did.
just that.
You did.
Now, Ed, you have 329 IMDb credits. Are you ready to play IMDb quiz time? I say a random
Yes.
IMDb credit, and you tell us the plot of the episode. Mm-hmm. Are you ready to play? So let's
I'm
begin.
ready.
Okay, let's begin with my Three Sons. The episode is entitled "The Computer Picnic." How prescient! And you play Marv.
Marv is a guy that's gotten, like Chip has. Chip was one of the three sons, played by Stanley Livingston. And so Chip has gotten a computer date, but it turns out the computer back then had malfunctioned, as they do sometimes today, and it put him with a very tall girl, and he's a shorter gentleman, and so it was kind of a bad fit. And so I said, well, I'll trade. You got I'm tall. I was tall back then at age 17, almost 18. I said, I'll trade your girl's tall. But I was kind of a shyster, this guy Marv was, because my girl had a broken arm and she couldn't even go to the picnic. So I'd given
pawned him
somebody
off.
who wasn't able to get the prize, which was going to the picnic with Chip. That was the plot as much as I remember.
That was pretty good.
That's pretty good.
I
All
can't
right,
remember stuff that far back.
Adam 12. You played Bud.
Yes, I steal. No, I actually did not steal. It looked like I stole some rims off a car, and this guy, his name is Leo, and he wrote the episode too, and he was in it, a character actor, I'll think of as Leo Gordon. Leo Gordon wrote the script and knew a lot about law enforcement, and he puts me in these little handcuffs that are like thumb handcuffs.
Oh, God.
Cuff your thumbs together, because he knew that I'd stolen these rims, these expensive magnesium wheels, but it turned out I hadn't. I had the receipt and everything. I'd bought them. And so he was kind of being and he was not a real cop. He was like a security guard that did this. And so Kent McCord and Marty Milner took him away and cuffed him because he was acting he was vigilante time.
Oh my
Fantastic.
gosh! Wow,
That's great.
Okay, Nanny and the Professor. You play Richie Cooper.
Nanny and the Professor. I remember being on the set. I remember zero about the plot. Isn't that interesting? Nothing. I remember being there at 20th doing it.
I wonder if it's because
Zippo.
that's not a show that gets rerun as much as the other two that I mentioned.
Yeah, and I have no idea anything about it. I don't know what the show is about.
Oh, well, there's a nanny, and then there's a professor.
Yeah.
It's all in the title, Ed.
I don't remember who was who.
It's
I
Richard
don't remember.
Long. Richard
That's
Long.
right, Richard Long.
And then there's a nanny. And, of
Yeah.
course, he needs a
She
nanny.
was British, right?
Yes.
British woman was the nanny. Richard Long. He was very nice, by the way.
Very handsome.
I'd seen him in other shows and liked him. He was very, very nice, but remembered nothing. But I couldn't, sitting here, I was going, I know the guy that was in it. I'm going to impress you by knowing the name Richard Long. Couldn't come up with it.
It's
It's
okay.
a name I know. I know who Franklin Pangborn is. I know who Thelma Ritter was, but I couldn't think the other day playing this friggin' crossword game. I couldn't think of the name Sean Connery. Okay? I couldn't think of the friend's name sometimes, not because I didn't know who it was. I knew he was in Red October, Hunt for Red October, whatever it was. I knew he was the first James Bond, but I couldn't think of his name. What is that about?
Do you ever do the alphabet thing? When I can't come up with a name that I know, I go through the alphabet, and sometimes my brain will stop at the right letter, and give it to me.
I'm going to try that.
Yeah, it works.
Because I do the crossword every day and love it, and I can do the crossword. I remember incredible things I don't know that I know, but I couldn't think of that name the other day, Sean Connery. What the hell is going on with my brain?
Okay, I want you to continue. This is a great game.
I have a couple more.
But
yeah.
hang on one
Okay.
second, because he's referenced the crossword puzzle.
Yes, he has.
And I have
And he
an
brought
Ed
it into
Begley
the-
crossword anecdote.
Okay, he brought this into the studio.
I know.
This is my
Which means
visual
he
aid.
goes everywhere
In
with
case
it.
there was some downtime here and you guys were busy with another guest.
This
I didn't know
guy
how
is
you
ready
get
to
him
be
in
on
and
a
out.
set.
So we're at the 40th anniversary of the Comedy Store.
Yes.
Do you remember being there? And you and
Yes.
I were backstage waiting to go on.
Yes.
I was going to perform, and you were going to just go out and talk or do whatever you were going to do. And we're all nervous. I mean, it's the 40th anniversary of the Comedy Store, and lots of famous people are in the audience and everything. And we're all stoked about going on stage. But Ed's doing a crossword puzzle, and he's on the phone with Harry Dean Stanton trying to get the answer to the crossword puzzle.
Exactly right.
Am I lying?
You're
I
telling
ain't
the
lying.
truth. That's exactly right. Harry would call me every single day. He didn't miss a day. Have you done it yet? And so I would always became it because he stays up till like 3 a.m. and I go to bed fairly early and get up early. So I would always answer yes when he said. Then he'd be pissed off because I'd done it before him. What the hell is the answer to this? Spotted at the prom. It's only 4 letters. Nothing fits. I saw him a spy. What is fits? I said it's acne. No, it's spotted at the prom. The answer is acne. What do you talk about? How does acne? What does it have to do with being in a prom? Acne. He wouldn't.
It's a
Sat in the
pun.
dugout. I
But
said,
everybody else is scared to death, and you were completely involved in your crossword puzzle. Couldn't have cared less about going on stage in a few minutes.
It is the joy of my day. I do it every day, and now this is weird because you see no date on this. Do you know why? Because this is only Tuesday, and Tuesday is a miserable day for me because it's so easy. You're done with it in 5 minutes. So this is what's his name's Will Short's book of the hard.
He's the
Saturday,
New York Times guy.
the toughest of Saturdays. He has a book of them, so I copy it and I put it, on a little clipboard, and then I can do it if I have downtime.
Anyway, I did want to interrupt you, but I had
No,
to tell my
that's-
Ed crossword puzzle story.
That is fascinating. I like his old school method. He's got a pencil, a clipboard. This is great. So, all right, here we go. This one might be a little tougher, but I only need one answer. You appeared on 7 episodes of Room 222 playing Bob, Willard, Stretch, George, Michael. I'm not sure who all else, but can you tell us one plot line?
Yes, Stretch Webster. I kind of remember that one. I think it's the most recent one I did. And at that point, I was like 23 or something. I was really pushing it. I can't believe they're still casting me as a high school student, but they were. I guess I looked young back then. At any rate, Stretch Webster was a guy that was, there was a young lady played by Angela Cartwright, I believe. She was, an attractive young woman, and she was wearing a sweater at the high school and what have you, and she was a very curvaceous young lady, and I was looking at her as a basketball player and getting distracted. So my parents were like trying to get her to wear a bra or something. So I wasn't distracted. You know how easily men are distracted.
Yeah.
And so
I mean, thus the burqa.
exactly. Make her change. Make her wear a burqa because I couldn't play basketball. Blame it on the woman.
It's always the
That's
women.
basically the plot
It's
of that
our
show.
responsibility to keep men from having thoughts.
That's very funny.
That is awesome. So I wanted to talk to you about something I read on your Wikipedia page, and that's that when you were growing up with your mom and dad, and your mom died when you were a little boy.
Yeah, I was 7 when she passed.
And then later in your teens, you found out that she had not been the mother who had given birth to you. Is that correct?
Right. She was gone a fair amount of the first 7 years of my life. She had cancer and was in and out of hospitals, but she finally passed away when I was 7, and I would go as any young man would to visit her grave there out on Long Island. We went to grade school out in Long Island, my sister and I. Then when I was 15 and a half, I was soon to be 16 and soon to get a driver's license. I was able to get my learner's permit at the DMV. And to get that, we had to stop. My dad and I had to go to his business manager's office on Wilshire. We lived in the Valley. And we went to the office on Wilshire. He handed me an envelope because there I would have in it my birth certificate and I could get a learner's permit. So I open up the envelope. I've never seen my birth certificate. What does it look like? And I look at it. And Dad's driving and I look at it. Dad? Mm-hmm. There's no mother's name in the birth certificate. It's blank. Why is that? Do they erase it when your mother dies? I don't get it. No, Amanda wasn't your mother. He just keeps driving. It wasn't even, forget about a father knows best moment. He doesn't even pull over. I'm talking about what a great dad he is. This is a little contrast to that. So he keeps driving and says, well, who was my mother? He says, Sandy's your mother. Several TNT blasts in the side of my head. Because there was this woman, Sandy, that I would see Christmas time, Easter, sometimes Valentine's Day, Halloween once in a while, get some candy from her. She's this woman my sister and I were crazy about.
Aww.
And she was our mother. And so suddenly it was, as sad as that is, it was kind of good in a way. Now I've got a mom. My mom was dead. Now she's not dead.
And she wasn't a stranger. It was somebody who was already in your
knew
heart.
A little bit. We didn't see her often. It was kind of, and at this point we hadn't seen her in years, like maybe 5 years or something like it. But I used to see her a lot and always thought of her fondly. And now here it turns out she was my mother. And it all kind of made sense. I'm a year younger than my sister. She remembered more than I remembered. Because I'm sure there was some point we'd be going when we meet her. My sister might have said, or maybe I said, Mommy, no, sweetie, that's not your mommy. Your mommy's over here. That's not mommy. Something like that must have happened because one day my sister started walking away from the bus stop when the bus was approaching to pick us up. I said, where are you going? She said, I'm going into Manhattan to see Sandy. She walked to the Long Island Railroad, not too far, got in a seat, talked to a woman. A kid traveling with an adult would ride free or something. And so she rode with her, went to Grand Central Station and walked around going, where's Sandy? She thought Sandy lived at Grand Central Station. Oh. Sad.
Wait, is Sandy your sister's mom too?
My sister's mom too, correct.
Wow. So when was the decision made that you guys would be raised by your dad?
That's a very good question. There's so much odd about all of that. I don't know how my father I don't know what happened between my father and what turned out to be my stepmother, who died when I was 7, how he convinced her that he had found a couple kids in the alley that looked like him.
He didn't tell her?
Yeah.
That he had an affair?
I don't. She was my mother. My birth mother was a page at NBC. And what turned out to be my stepmother, she was in the hospital. She had cancer, wasn't expected to live, and he had not one but 2 kids with this woman. And I don't know all that went on, but he certainly was never married to my birth mother.
He was in a better position to take care of you, too? It might
have
been economics.
I loved my dear mom, my birth mother, but had I been raised by her at 300 West 49th Avenue where she lived, things wouldn't have been so good. He was a fine father and took very good care of me. And she, with all her great qualities, was she was a hoarder. Stacked up to the ceiling, Fritz. And when you hear things like that, stacked up to the ceiling. No, right. No. Stacked up to the ceiling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, wow.
Stuff that you don't really need.
Wow. Yeah. It's an amazing story.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing.
And I have to talk about the Christopher Guest movies because they're some of the funniest movies ever made, in my opinion. And he always uses this core group of players, you being among them, and all the other ones, Eugene Levy and Fred Willard and Parker Posey and Catherine O'Hara, hires these same group of players it's like an ensemble. How is that as an experience? And are they what they seem to be, mainly improvised? And how does that work?
My history with Chris is a long and wonderful one. I met him through his sister Alyssa, and I also knew him a bit from the National Lampoon, from Tony Hendra and the others that worked there, Doug Kenny and all those that worked at the Lampoon. I knew him from that. He worked on that Radio Dinner album, that very funny National Lampoon album. and he was a great musician, is a great musician, a great comedian. And so at some point, he and Rob Reiner and Michael McKean and Harry Shearer decided to do this Spinal Tap, movie, and I got happily pulled into just not to be in the movie. They were going to do a little 10-minute presentation reel, and part of that was like a flashback to the old, mop top kind of English invasion band thing with us playing in black and white. It would never be in the movie. It would just be, something to help raise funds for the movie or something. But then when they started to put things together, they went, it's supposed to be low res and low quality. We can use that footage, sign here, and you'll be in the movie, and it's SAG and everything. And so I was in Spinal Tap with those guys. Then Chris got to do, they were lucky to have him do a movie called The Big Picture, and then he did Waiting for Guffman in a different style than a scripted thing. And I was not in that, but that is my favorite movie. I have no bias because I ain't in it, but I sure love that movie beyond words. And then he called me in for Best in Show, and then every movie and TV show thereafter. So I'm just blessed.
I've seen Best in Show 15 times.
I love you, pal.
And just tell me what the site, what the set is like. Is it what it seems to be, which is a lot of improvisation? Does he come in there with an outline like Larry David does and said, okay, we have to get to point A to point B and you fill in the blanks? How does it work?
Yes, it's exactly that. He and Eugene Levy, and now it's him and Jim Pittick, they do all the heavy lifting. They spend 6 months or a year writing the treatment for one of these shows that he's done recently is the ones like Guffman that they did years ago with Eugene Levy. They do all the hard work of writing that treatment. But then when you get on set, it's just a slug, this big, like a couple of inches, like a fortune cookie. Jerry and Cookie Fleck check into the hotel. Their credit card doesn't work. That's what it is. But the Jerry and Cookie, is played by Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara. So I get to be across the check-in desk from Eugene and Catherine. I'm a fan beyond description of SCTV and them and everything they've ever done. So I just got to say as little as possible and not start laughing uproariously. Just my job is to be like Easter Island or something. Just stay there. And so I just had the best time doing that, and everyone since. I just love Chris so much, and everybody, Fred Willard, rest his soul, and all those great people that have been part of it for years. I just love getting that call from Chris that he's doing something.
And to me, it always seemed like it was a group of the cool kids in high school they let the cool kids put on their own play. And you knew you would never be accepted as part of that group, but you just wish you could experience whatever it was they were experiencing as time went on. I just love them. I'm thinking of what's going on in their mind even more than what they're saying, because
Me too.
You can tell they're improvising. And
so
I guess Guffman, there was talk for a while that they were going to turn that into a Broadway musical, or maybe still are, right? Am I right about that?
I didn't know that, but that's a very good idea.
Just Chris, a rumor. Yeah, because it was a musical, and then it would be an easy translation. So
what a good idea.
Yeah.
I never heard that. That's a great idea. I'm going to ask Chris about that when I talk to him. I hope that is something in the works. Not that I would be in it. I can't sing a note, but I would love to see it.
Just a rumor. Mm-hmm.
So I would like to talk about some of your environmental activism. And I understand that your sworn environmental combatant is Bill Nye the Science Guy. Could you tell us about this battle?
He's my neighbor, former neighbor. We lived a few doors down, and we were in a fierce competition to see who had the lowest bills, lowest natural gas bill, lowest electric, lowest water bill. And he, full disclosure, he would beat me often, but he has one person in his house back then. When I was his neighbor, I had 3. So that was the problem there when he would beat me. But per capita, I always beat him.
Okay.
Now I'm the one that's cheating because I moved a mile east of where I used to live with Bill Nye in another street in Studio City. I moved a mile east, and now I'm in a LEED Platinum built from the ground up home. So you can do a lot when you build from the ground up.
Okay.
We were both, at the time we had the competition, living in 1936 homes that you can only make so energy efficient. Then the walls are so thin you can't do what you'd like. It doesn't have passive solar design with most of the glass on the south side of the building. There's a lot you can do with that. We put in a 10,000 gallon rainwater tank underground. There's a lot you cannot do. 12-inch thick walls, on and on. We've done a lot, and so I have a very energy efficient home. So eat that, Bill Nye.
Where did this community passion come from with you, both environmental and your social outreach things? Where did that come from? Was that your dad, or was it just
Definitely my dad. He was a conservative that liked to conserve proving this shouldn't have party affiliation. It should be bipartisan, nonpartisan. You know, he just turned off the lights and turned off the water and saved string and saved tinfoil. He was the son of Irish immigrants. He lived through the Great Depression.
Oh, wow.
And that's what you did. So I was raised with that deep in my bones and my DNA. And my mother was like that too, even though I wasn't raised with her. She was, by nature of her hoarding, she was kind of a recycler of sorts too. She hated to throw anything away. In her case, it became a huge impediment. And I've never allowed that to happen. If stuff comes in to be recycled, it quickly goes out and gets a second use. But it was my dad, and he died within a few days of the first Earth Day. And so I always remembered what he told me when I would complain about the smog, you know, in the late 60s before he passed. I'd say, I hate this smog. He said, Eddie, I know what you're against, but what are you for? What are you doing? You know, and so I started riding my bike more and taking public transportation, what have you. And so I even bought a 1970 electric car because of him. I just looked in the phone book knowing I wouldn't find anything, but just to satisfy my recently deceased father, I looked to say I checked and tried to buy an electric car in 1970, looked in the Valley phone book knowing it wouldn't be under, what the hell is this? Electric cars, right there in the phone book. Call up the number, this guy, Dutch and Reseda, sold, California license plate, registered in California, electric vehicles. Now, when I say electric vehicle, I'm talking about, I'm being quite grand, I'm talking about a golf cart with a windshield wiper and a horn, okay?
Yep, I remember seeing you rocking that.
You know, it had a top speed of 20 miles an hour, had a range of 20 miles, but it was $950, which wasn't a bad price for a used car back then, and it was much cheaper to fuel. I plugged it into the outlet, and my electric bill didn't go up much at all. And it was also much cheaper to maintain. There was no expense whatsoever to maintain it. No tune-up, oil change, fan belt, radiator flush, valve job, smog check, none of that. So I've had electric cars most of my life ever since, and I really like it. It's, you know, not just good for the environment, it's good for my pocketbook, and that's another benefit I get from my dad. Everything I did that was, you know, green as in the environment, it was good for the other kind of green, my budget, you know, for green money. It's always saved me money because I did it in the right order. I did the cheap and easy stuff first. It's a zero-emission vehicle at the tailpipe because you're not burning any fuel in the vehicle. But if you charge it at home, you could be using some utility power from coal or natural gas or nuclear. We're using none of that for this car because I have 9 kilowatts of solar electric on the roof of my house that runs the house and charges the car.
Well, my goal is to own a Tesla. I can't right now because my daughter goes to a very expensive university, but I'd like to own one. But I think we're going to hit the tipping point with electric cars in this country when two things happen. One, when they get the battery storage up just a little bit more.
Yep.
And when we build the recharging infrastructure, which is actually part of this new Biden infrastructure program.
It is.
When we get, he wants to do, 8,000 recharging stations around the United States where people can trust that they can leave home and not get stuck somewhere and not be able to get back home. When people trust that, I think the doors will fly open.
I agree. I used to have to go on long trips, Fritz. I had, first of all, it was a natural gas car. Before I knew what people know now about fracking and what have you, it was cleaner out of the tailpipe, so I drove a natural gas car for years trying to do the right thing. No foreign oil and cleaner at the tailpipe. But then I got a hybrid because I started to hear about fracking, and I got cross-country in that. But now I have just an electric because I was on a Sirius for a few years, and I got myself a Tesla, and that Tesla infrastructure is what Joe Biden wants to have for everybody, the availability of not just inexpensive cars, but the charging infrastructure. You can drive right now today cross-country, up and down California. In every state, there's chargers everywhere for Tesla, and there need to be chargers for every kind of car, and there will be with this new plan. And it works today. I have nearly 400 miles of range in my car, and so that's a pretty good. That's a good run. I go to Albuquerque to work, and I stop in Needles for breakfast. About a half hour or so, I'm done. I get in the car again. I stop in Flagstaff for lunch. Half hour, 35 minutes maybe. Next stop is Gallup, New Mexico for dinner, and then
Do you charge at those places?
Charge each time. For just about 30 minutes is all you need. You don't need to do it forever. Just grab some breakfast. 30 minutes later, I'm ready to get in the car, make it to the next stop easily. And they're very good about it. They don't let you finish, charging until you have some buffer in case, oh, wait, this one, there's too many cars parked in Flagstaff. I'm going to direct you to Holbrook, Arizona.
Oh,
It's
wow.
very
Great.
sophisticated.
That's
the way the
fantastic.
computer has
So that
it.
shows up on your dashboard?
It shows, all you do is I put in the address, the final address in Albuquerque. I punch that in. It says, we're going to recommend that you stop in Needles first and then Flagstaff next. And then if things change, it goes, no, we want you to charge instead in, Kingman, Arizona. It's very good with that.
That's going to be
amazing.
good for businesses along the way.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Right now, the businesses, the breakfast stop there in Needles is where I eat. They're getting people that are stopping there more often. All of them, they're right near places where people like to have extra commerce and, more customers. And so it's win-win for everybody.
And it's also social because you're gonna talk to people who are on a similar adventure.
Exactly. It's very social at the charging stations.
I can't wait for that to happen. I think it's going to change the global politics. It's going to lower our carbon footprint and the whole deal. I can't wait for it to happen.
Here's the best thing about electric cars. It's the following. You cannot make gasoline on the roof of your house. I happen to know this fact. You can make electricity in the roof of your house because I've been doing it since 1990. It works, I've had a wind turbine since 1985 as an investment in the California desert, part of a wind farm. I know that wind power works. I know that solar power works. I know that energy efficiency works in homes and offices. When people come to me, Ed, I want a solar company to put panels on my roof. I said, here, I give them a number. They go, what the hell is this? Home energy audit. I want solar. I said, no, not till you get a home energy audit and reduce your demand first. They may try to sell you 6, 7 kilowatts. You might only need 4 or 5. Make your home more energy efficient first with cheap and easy light bulbs, weather stripping, energy-saving thermostat, insulation. Do that first. Then you get your solar system.
All right.
First
So,
up.
Ed, when you get the home energy audit, does the same company help you meet the goals that they've recommended for you?
They give you a list of stuff, low-hanging fruit, medium-hanging fruit, and get the latter top of the tree stuff like solar or an electric car. They give you that stuff in a list, A, B, C. And so you go right away. Any sensible person would do, well, I don't know about these energy audit companies or any of this, but Begley told me to do it. So you do the first ones. You get the energy efficient light bulbs, you put some weather stripping up, and you get an energy saving thermostat. Walk away from it. Let's see what happens. Instantly, your bill's going to go down. I promise it as I sit here with you. Everybody's bill always goes down in an impressive way. They call me, Jesus Christ, this works. They right away want to go medium ticket stuff and do some of that stuff that they can afford. And eventually, if you make enough money and save enough money, you can go booyah and get the solar on your roof.
Have you gotten to the point now where you're feeding power back to the grid? What I mean is, I think if you save enough energy, you get to a certain point where you're actually giving power back to the power company and get rebated.
Yes, and at the most important times I'm doing it when they need it most. There's a computer in the Tesla Powerwalls. I have 2 Tesla Powerwalls also in my house. So it figures when they need power, mostly 1 to 5, sometimes 1 to 9, p.m. It's sending it all the power from the solar at that time that it has, and then you use it when you need it. Now, I have an unusual situation. I can't get by with, just the power on my roof anymore because I'm charging 3 electric cars that for my daughter she drives a Chevy Volt but never buys gasoline for it. It's always electric because she stays within the range of it. My wife has a Tesla and I have a Tesla. And then my grown daughter comes over and charges there too because she's in an apartment, doesn't have any ability to charge. So I'm a charging station for 4 vehicles. So I'm using a lot of cheap nighttime power because I also buy, the only power I buy is after 8 p.m. and before 10 a.m. That's the only time I buy power because otherwise I can make it with my 9 kilowatts of solar. And
it's past the peak of the day.
Exactly.
The day, yeah.
It's past the peak of the day, and it's very inexpensive. The base power that I'm buying is like 3 or 4 cents a kilowatt hour, I think. But then I add another 3 cents to it. Happily, with a smile, I pay 3 cents extra for green power. And this is a real green power program. It's not just taking title to some hydro plant in Idaho that's been around since 1936. It's a feel-good thing when you do that, because there's nothing new going into the grid. When you buy green power from LA and many other municipalities like that have a good green power program, they're putting new solar, new wind, new geothermal into the grid when you buy that extra power.
Okay, so when you pay for the extra power, you're definitely getting it from some place that is environmentally sound, instead of just coming off the
You're
power
getting it
grid.
from the green WP, the green DWP program. It's from their grid, but it's not like if you take money out of an ATM, $200 cash, then you put it back in the bank. They're not, it's not always the same 20s that you're putting in the bank and taking out, but it's a real cash transaction. So if you have a program like DWP where they're putting new power into the grid, not just taking title to something existing, then you're really making a difference when you buy each kilowatt hour. That's the kind of, and Edison has a similar program. Southern California Edison does, and many other power utilities across the nation have it. You want to buy one of those and Native Power is another one. Some indigenous people have organized that called Native Power. And
So it's like a take a penny, leave a penny kind of concept.
it's that kind of a thing, but it's a real, you just want to stay away from the ones that are feel-good kind of things where you're taking title to something existing.
What do you think about this very disturbing report that came out from the WHO 2 weeks ago, the World Health Organization, about the dire situation that the climate is in right now? Many people have described it as being beyond the tipping point, that we've already gone up to 1.5 degrees Celsius that we were warned against. It showed up 30 years early. Do you have any feelings about that?
I do. You don't want to depress people and just talk about doom and gloom, but you don't want to lie the other way. No, it's going to be fine. We're going to save everything. We just got to really get going now and put some more weather stripping and light bulbs. It'll be great. Recycle. We'll be fine. That's not going to cut it. We're going to, sadly, with what's happened already, what's in the pipeline, there's going to be loss of species. There's going to be some serious changes. This weather's going to be bad. Wildfires and weather storms and hurricanes, more intensity, more often. That's going to happen, but it's going to be better if we do more now. We're going to alleviate some of the species loss. We're going to make it so it's not so bad we can't survive if we act now. We can't save everything now, but we can save a lot. We want to save what's left, is what it's about.
I know.
Now.
It's amazing that some people still have their head in the sand because everything is now obvious. The Pacific Northwest has never seen temperatures at 118 degrees, inland Oregon and inland Washington. The fires have just broken records. The number of hurricanes, the severity of hurricanes, the number of tornado outbreaks, the severity of tornado outbreaks. In Miami, they already have street flooding every year. I mean, the sea level is already rising. I mean, I don't know what else it takes to activate a political will to get this done. Some of it's part of the infrastructure program, Biden's infrastructure program, great, but I think it needs even more surgical work right now.
Whatever awareness we have, you own a big piece of it, Fritz, because you always talked about it. You took it seriously early on. When the scientific consensus was such that they said, no, this is really happening, you were very scientific about it and spread the word about it and talked about it with your weather forecast. So hats off to you, pal. You were a beacon with some bad information coming from others.
Well, as much as they let us do it.
I know. You couldn't hammer it every
No, and
minute.
it's the short American attention span. Like 10 years ago, I would get 5 minutes to do the weather. And then with the short American attention span, I ended up with 2 minutes. So you have to do the weather for 9 microclimates and then do a little discussion about climate change. You can't do it. So it was honestly having not enough time to present very important information.
But you still did. You got it in there. It's that bay leaf in the soup that made the difference. It's that thing of, people like they're trying to, they had little dolphin safe tuna years ago. There's just like a brief can of it in some movie back when it got people's awareness about dolphins. That small message sometimes can get through to people, and you were part of that. It wasn't always a small message. You devoted real time to it as much as they let you.
Tried to.
And God bless you for it, Fritz. You were a beacon for years.
Thank you.
Well, I'd like to close with a quote that I read that's attributed to you, Ed Begley Jr., in your Wikipedia. You're quoted as having said that your role models changed from the people who had an incredible brief spurt of creativity. So like a lot of people died at age 27, who we are now the stuff of legend. But you said that you kind of gravitate towards people that were able to go the distance, and that some of your heroes are people that were able to sustain long, meaningful careers in entertainment. Can you talk about some of those relationships?
That's very true. For years, I had, like anybody, I thought, wow, Jim Morrison was a real hero. And, all these, actors and others and musicians that, died early. Wow, what a great life that is. Live strong, live hard. But it changed. Suddenly I got to be 30 and had kids and had a house.
Yeah, right.
And I thought,
Oops.
no, my hero is now Jimmy Stewart. My hero is Gloria Swanson. They got grandkids and they seem very happy, and their kids and grandkids seem pretty happy. And I'm going to go a different way with this. I changed my point of view, and here I am, 71, almost 72. I have kids and grandkids, and I've had a very lucky life. I know I was born on second base. Ed Begley's son grew up in Van Nuys and a bit out on Long Island. Didn't get any luckier than that. And I'm in this business because of my dad. So I'm a very lucky man.
You don't
so
have
I try to-
329 credits because of your
Yeah,
dad.
I want to push back a little bit.
Yeah.
On that. I mean, your dad got you the name. He may have gotten you in the door, but your talent got you the work, and your conscience gave you this amazing shadow that you've cast over the world with not only your performances, but your work of conscience. I just love the fact, first of all, that you're a very talented person who's comfortable in their own skin, and you're so easy to relate to, but also that you've used your fame for good. You've changed a lot of people's thoughts about the environment, about electric cars, about all those things, and I think it's not quantifiable to know how much you've changed life in our world. It's an amazing life you've had, my friend.
Bless your heart. Fritz.
Really.
What a nice thing to say.
And
both of you.
we got to plug a couple.
Yeah,
of
we
these.
want to talk about your products. You can go to what's the website? Begley Living?
Yeah, BegleyLiving.com.
And that's a lot to remember. Just go to edbegley.com too. It leads to the same place as Begley Living, edbegley.com. Or if you're on Amazon, you can just type in Ed Begley Cleaning or just Ed Begley. It'll come up at Amazon, and you'll see my cleaning products there. They're wonderful, certified EPA, designed for the environment certification that makes them very quantifiably clean. But most importantly, they clean every bit as good as the more toxic kind of products.
Wow.
For years, I used vinegar and water and baking soda, and that stuff's fine, and I still recommend that people use it. They're on a tight budget. But, then people, if that doesn't do enough, which it doesn't for a lot of people, then they get the 409, they get the ammonia glass cleaner. You can get these products, and there are other green products out there. I happen to like mine, but there's many other brands of green products in the cleaning products arena. Try one of them, try mine perhaps, or try one of them and see if it works. Ours work very, very well. Begley's Earth Responsible products. Again, just go to Amazon or any search engine, go Begley Cleaning Products. It'll come right up. And we've got a floor cleaner. We've got an all-purpose cleaner. We've got odor, pet and stain remover. And check it out. If you try it, I think you're really going to like it. Because pets are on the floor all the time, licking their paws and licking the floor. Kids are on the floor all the time, crawling around on all fours, putting their fingers in their mouth. You don't want them to be in a toxic environment, putting that toxic stuff in their mouth. And people regularly, me among them, with signs saying, "Stop that hazardous waste site near my house," protesting with my friends in Love Canal. "Stop the hazardous waste site near my house." Where's the worst hazardous waste site? It's in our house, under our sink. We're making our kitchen. Stop, get rid of that stuff.
And, I think people are becoming more savvy about this stuff.
Yep.
I sold my home, and I temporarily had to live in Tularia, which is the apartment complex over the Whole Foods market in Burbank. You know that big.
Oh, I know it well.
Yeah, it's
Yes,
great.
I know it.
And it's a great store.
It is.
And I go in there and buy my dinner because I just had to go down 2 floors. But it was amazing. And how, first of all, the variety of things, environmentally conscious things they give you to buy in there. And second of all, how popular they were. People had baskets full of this stuff.
I'm one of them. I go there and shop there regularly and get everything I'm not growing in my backyard.
I think people have maybe turned the corner on that stuff.
I think they have. It's gotten very mainstream. It used to be a fringe thing. You used to have to go down to Lancashire there. They had the Good Life. It was a health food store at Magnolia and Lancashire, the Good Life, and I would shop there. That place, Jack LaLanne, I think had interest in a place down in Sherman Way in Reseda there that I would go. Another Health Full of Life or something. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But 2 places in all of the valley. Now there's a lot more. Whole Foods has everything you could want.
Now it's hip.
That's right. And you can charge your electric vehicle while you're shopping there.
Good
There
point.
you go. Full circle. Fritz, Let's tell people before we read the credits where they can subscribe to our show and how they can subscribe and leave a review that will help others find our show.
All right, listen very close to me. If you enjoyed this episode of Media Path, it would help us a great deal to be more discoverable by potential new listeners if you leave us a quick review on Apple Podcasts. And if you're new here and this is your first time with us, please check out our back catalog. You'll find binge-worthy material. I'm telling you, recently we've interviewed Bill Medley of the Righteous Brothers, who's getting ready to do a new Vegas
I love
run.
him.
Yeah, he's such
so
a
good.
great. It was so much fun. Mark Summers, he's the host and the king of slime from Nickelodeon. Richard Sturban from the Oak Ridge Boys was fascinating. The Livingston Brothers, we talked about My Three Sons. They were fantastic, part of our youth. You're going to have a chance to hear people from all walks of life. Keith Morrison, Henry Winkler. Thank you for spending an hour with us, and we would be overjoyed if you took a moment to share your thoughts with us or recommend us to a friend. We love you, be safe, and thank you.
All right, here come your closing credits. We would love for you to join us online on Instagram and Twitter, where we are at MediaPathPod, and on Facebook, where we are Media Path Podcast. You can find full episodes with all kinds of bonus visual content on our YouTube channel, Media Path Podcast. We would love to know what media you've been enjoying. You can contact us at our social media or email us at mediapathpodcast@gmail.com. We want to thank our wonderful guest, Ed Begley Jr. Our team includes Dina Friedman, Francesco Demanda, John Maddox, Sharon Bellio, Bill Filipiak, Thomas Hubble, and you. Our theme music is by me and John Maddox. I am Louise Palanker here with Fritz Coleman, and we will see you along the media path.
What a delight.
That was so fun.
It was so fun. You guys are so great to talk to. What a
Come
treat.
back anytime.
Definitely. This
I'll
was
put in
great.
a charging station for you.